very important, is the founding of American theater. And it actually comes from British theater, because this is a British colony. These 13 colonies were British colonies, and we take pretty much all of our culture from an English model. And so we're going to be talking about how we go from being British to being American here in the Playhouse. Now, if we are to understand how we end up as Americans, we have to start at the beginning of the story. Now, British theater really begins, or at least the British culture begins here in Virginia in 1607. What happens in 1607? You know. Yes, they found Jamestown. Jamestown is a colony, a permanent colony here in the Americas. And Jamestown, they're bringing over the English culture. They're founding their own English model government. They're bringing over the styles, the language, the culture, and they're also bringing over their knowledge of the arts as well. But it's not until 1665, quite a while after Jamestown, that we have the first play on record being performed in the colonies. And it's performed in Accomack County, Virginia, which is over on the eastern shore. And there were three men performing a play in a tavern called The Bear and the Cub. Unfortunately, we don't have a copy of this play. Very unfortunately, in fact, because the reason we know about it is because someone in the audience, Mr. Martin was his name, he thought that inappropriate words were being spoken in this play. Not only did he think that, he brought the actors to court, and they had to perform the play in the courtroom in front of the judge. Now, we are glad to say that the judge found it was quite all right. He didn't find anything wrong with the play, and he made Mr. Martin pay the court costs. So we think of this as the first favorable review in all of British American theater. So yes, huzzah for that. So theater is off to a good start. And in 1716, the first permanent playhouse was built in the American colonies. That play I mentioned before was performed in a tavern, but there's a first theater built for the purpose of playing plays, and it was built on this site. Actually, if you look at those two posts, that marks the corners of the foundation. It ran from those posts pretty much to the fence behind here, and this was the first theater in all the British colonies, right here on this site by the palace. And it was built in 1716 by Mr. William Livingston, and he was a tavern owner. He owned a tavern on the site next door, and he also had a bowling green, so you could eat, drink, bowl, and then go to the theater. A whole evening's entertainment. And he had his indentured servants appear upon the stage. Also, community members performed here. The boys of the College of William and Mary performed here. So it was community theater. Everyone's a bit of the actor here in the 18th century. But in 1752, the professional company of actors, the London Company of Comedians, makes the voyage over from England, and they make their debut in the colonies. The first time we have professional theater here in the Americas. Now, they don't go up to New York. They don't go to Philadelphia. But they come here to tiny little Williamsburg. So let's give that a hand, yes. Williamsburg is the hub of theater here